So that the wind changed.
Yeah, it definitely did. Because my wife at that time, Mariko is her name. I actually, when we moved from Hawaii to go to California, it was to save the marriage because we were going through a divorce.
Okay.
That was one of the moves. Yeah, because I had a pretty good job while I was here. I was a restaurant manager for Caesar Steakhouse.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
And I stopped everything over there and said, my son Mark was maybe about a year old or so.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, I want to save the family, so we moved up there. And so we were living there, and the family became close. My family and her family. With her son Craig and my son Mark, and me and my wife Mariko, and her husband.
Your husband, yeah.
And we used to do things, go out, you see. And so the situation came really problematic when Malia came in to say that she needed to talk to me. And I think, oh man, this another one's going to quit. And so I sat down and talked to her, and I said, "What's on your mind?" She was nervous, really nervous when she was sitting to talk to me. She told me that she feel really uncomfortable because she was babysitting my son, Mark, and I say, why? Why were you babysitting my son, Mark? She said, well, I babysit to Mark, your son Mark, in the morning. I said, why? Just because my wife was having an affair with another guy.
Oh, really?
She said to me. She felt really.
Oh, so she wanted you to know what was up.
Yeah, and that she didn't want to be put in that position anymore.
Right.
She said to me. So naturally, my wife Mariko and I,
split up.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I moved into the school. She stayed in the house and everything, and Malia became sort of like, well, her name was Marylou.
Marylou.
Yeah. And I hated the name for a reason anyway.
Marylou. Okay.
So anyway, Marylou, I'm going to say Marylou from now. She would come training and everything else that way, and eventually all the women started quitting. And she became the sole female there. And it was like, she said, well, and I kept putting her into tournaments.
Right.
We had no relationship at that time. Just put into tournaments and everything that way. So I would train her really to get good. You see? With, not only one-on-one, but with a lot of guys. You see?
Right.
Because I needed her to fight against guys. You
Wow.
see?
Wait, I'm sorry, I just remembered something. Is it true that you just surprised her one day and she had to fight on stage multiple opponents?
Yeah. I always did that too.
What is wrong with you?
No.
Did you get buffed from that or all? Come here. Wait, you go fight. This is going to be fun. I want to watch. What the hell?
Yeah. So that came, but I didn't know that she was also having her own problems with her husband.
Yeah.
You see, and it was just like, all right, I was having problems. I was going through the divorce. She was having problems. She was going through problems, and we had nobody else to talk to because we were related to the same kind of problems.
Right.
Yeah.
You see? So naturally, it was more that a friendship that we knew became more serious. You see, and then that was it. They said, okay, if you're going to do this one here, then you're starting a new life. You're changing your identity. So I said, okay. I got to tell you that I don't like your name. And I said, we need to change that name.
Yeah. Not just the last name, but the first name too.
Change it.
What the hell?
Change it.
Why don't you like my name? I said, you ever heard the song Marylou had a brand new shoe? You know the song Marylou?
Hello, Marylou.
Right. I said, okay, we need to change that. So Marylou, Mary, Malia. So I said Lou. Okay, we could call it Malia Lou. I said, but nah, too long. Just call it Malia.
Yeah.
Then at that time we had, the uniforms, the tempo really high.
Right.
Change that. Okay. I said I'm gonna, and being that my mother was a dressmaker, I learned how to sew.
Oh,
Of course,
cool.
yeah. So
Nice.
I learned how to make all the kung fu pants that we had. I learned how to do the Chinese
Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah, and with their buttons and all that, and then
Right.
you know, and
The stitching and
So
everything.
that was you?
Really?
That was you.
You made the costumes. That's awesome.
I
Because
made
I remember those. I remember the costumes.
Yeah.
And from both videos and from looking at articles.
Yeah, so I made the uniforms. Yeah, so and well, you know, when you're starting off the school at the very first, when you in San Leandro, California, they had a regular karate uniform and everything. I said I don't like that. You know? So because we had our own identity,
Wow.
so we changed the uniform. We're going to use this. We're going to use sash. We're going to use that. We're going to
Yes.
use so forth. And we just did that. And I did that, you know, because of Emperado at that particular time. Emperado was with El De La Cruz. We had the Kaji Kempo Karate. Kaji Kempo now is really diversified
Right.
and so screwed up. in that
Oh,
sec,
okay.
I should have brought the panel because I could have explained to you how we have it. But what happened in at that time, Kaji Kempo was just Kaji Kempo Karate. Okay?
Right.
When we were here in Hawaii, prior to me going up to the mainland, Emperado had conflict with some of the black belts that left to go up to the mainland.
Right.
So it became where De La Cruz, myself, and Emperado was really hanging out together. I was at the bottom of the pole
Right.
Right.
because I was the youngest with them. And Emperado decided that he was going to call Kaji Kembo Tompai. Yeah. And the reason why he was going to call it that was because he was influenced by some of the Chinese people here that were influenced in like Tai Chi,
Right,
Pakwa, Hanga, and different styles of Kung Fu. So that said, we switched to the uniform. And that's when we decided that, okay,
More Kung Fu Shaolin look.
right,
Yeah.
right, and that was only for a couple of years now from Tumpai, 1965 up to 1967, sort of around that time period. But while I was here, I got influenced working with Ron Liu. Right?
Okay.
Ron Liu,
I've heard his name a lot.
Yes.
Ron Liu was just starting new with an instructor by the name of Sifu O Ing out of San Jose.
Okay.
Yeah, the San Jose Cultural Center, Chinese Cultural Center, and they were practicing. Now, Paul Ing was, while he had his style of Southern style Kung Fu, he was also studying with Professor Wong Jack Man.
Okay, Wong Jack.
Okay.
Wow.
And
That's
Wong
another.
Jack.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that name.
Yeah. Okay. So you had the influence of Northern and Southern style.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there was a person, but I forgot his name. Anyway, he was one of my students, Chinese guy. I met him when I was working at a place called Western Electric in
Okay,
San
yeah.
Leandro, California.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
His
he
name was Jeff?
Yeah, he
No,
was.
Western Electric is long
No,
gone
he
now.
does
Yeah.
not.
So he was a student of mine. He introduced me to Ron Liu, to come down and visit my school because there was another martial arts school that was teaching, right, Chinese style. At that time, all we had the sign was called Kaji Kembo Pai,
Right.
by flagging everything up
Okay.
there. So he comes inside and he sees and he wants to see what we're doing. Now, Ron Liu knew nothing about sparring or self-defense or nothing. The
Wow.
only thing that they practiced was forms,
Oh, okay.
Total
That's where the
form.
forms come in.
totally
Yeah.
forms, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he didn't know how to spar or do that kind of thing. The self-defense they did during that time is what I call static training. Okay,
Mhm.
there's the difference between static and kinetic
Static
training. Okay, and I'm very kinetic, when
Right.
I'm working on static. Everybody goes through static at the very beginning because that's a learning process.
Right.
Okay, so he goes through this and comes inside and watch us, and he demonstrated, and I like the way that he did his form. I said, I got to meet your instructor. So I meet
Right.
Paul Ing. I joined the school. Therefore, I learned the northern and southern style.
Wow. So you
Okay.
took upon yourself to just learn all these things that that you really liked and admired and decided,
Right.
I'm going to learn this.
Yeah.
And did you take that to a high degree, or did
Yeah, I
you
took
just,
it in, and I had permission from Wong Jackman and Paul Ing to integrate it, and then
Oh, wow.
integrated into it, and that was the Tompai version.
Right.
Yeah. So because the Tompai version that we had, that Emperor taught us, it didn't have high kicks, jumping kicks, and sweeps. It was basically Southern style
Southern style,
come down. Okay. So when Emperor and Dela Cruz came inside, and I demonstrated to them, this they kind of look at it and say, well, that kind of throws everything out because that's not Tompai anymore.
Right.
You see. So I said, well, okay, then let's think about a name. So I'm thinking, why don't we just call it Chuanfa?
Right.
Because basically Chuanfa is Campo anyway, but the translation.
Right.
So therefore now, Tompai was
back.
gone into the hiatus.
Right.
And so
Hiatus, I like
just put aside. So,
Yeah.
so
We'll
then,
put you back to work later.
yeah, that's coming back though.
Yes. Yeah.
So then you have the Kaju Kembo Chuanfa.
Right.
So now everybody's in the Bay Area is getting really interested because that was the beginning of the Kung Fu era.
Right.
Everybody wanted to know about Kung Fu.
Right.
So my forms was that I would go into competition and people would classify me as being a Kung Fu fighter. I was not a Kung Fu fighter at all.
Well, that's what I always thought when I first
Yeah.
heard of you guys back in the 80s when I was martial arting.
Yeah.
And I would see, like I said, when I see the sash, and we knew who that was. I mean, everybody else had the gis and whatever else.
Right.
But we knew, okay, no, that's different.
Yeah.
What's going on here. And when that started to come out, we're like, whoa, this is pretty
No.
cool.
That the thing is just that there's really a misinterpretation of the behavior on that, because what was happening is that when I went into competition, I was doing Kung Fu forms,
Right.
but fighting as a Kempo stylist. So therefore, I gave Kung
Yeah.
Fu credit.
Right. That's funny.
See, because the fighters,
Filipino guy giving them
because the fighters at that time that were fighting Kung Fu in karate tournaments
Yeah.
were getting beat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was loose. Yeah.
And I was, I just hit, and they said, wow, we never saw this style of
Kung Fu.
well, it was Kempo.
Yeah, right.
You see what I mean?
That's
So-
how funny.
Yeah, so everything evolved to that there. So when people say, man, yeah, I didn't know that Kung Fu fighters had been like that, I said,
They don't.
no, they don't.
They still don't.
Eventually,
Yeah.
eventually they started to get on, but
Wow.
they had to come inside and see well, they had to have a lot of defeats before they can be
Right,
succeed.
right,
True.
right, right.
And there was a lot of Kung Fu people that were getting beat. Well, I didn't fall. I'm okay. Yeah. All right. I did not fall.
It's Malia calling the complaint right now.
No, because I hit my hand. The iWatch says, "Did you fall?"
Oh, did you fall? I love it. That's it's wants to make sure, but we have to call 911.
We know your age. Are you hurt?
No, no, very much alive. Yeah.
That's
So,
wow.
so therefore, people have to understand that. Like I used to have that Jingmu patch
Right.
when I demonstrated or did Kung Fu forms. But in martial arts, when I was doing my demonstration on techniques and everything, is I would take their essence and put it into
Right. Did you
movements.
create your own style of that? Did you take this?
It was
and that
coming.
and- It was coming.
It was coming. It wasn't coming yet
Right.
because it was still in the Chuanfa version,
Right.
which was utilizing Kaju Kembo techniques. What we have the tricks they call
Right,
it,
right.
number 1 to 21 and so forth, and implementing the forms. Okay,
Wow.
that was it. Okay, now. One Hap Kyon Do didn't come until about a year or 2 years after Chuanfa was formed, because everything between Kempo Karate, Tompai, Chuanfa, and One Hap Kyon Do all happened within 6 and 7 years.
Wow.
Time difference.
Wow, that's just really fast.
Yeah, it had to, because and that came because of political differences. Okay.
Okay.
So during the time that we had that Kaju Kembo Chuanfa, that the emblem that everybody sees today, I designed that.
Right.
Okay, I designed the logo, the yin yang, the reeds and the clover and all of that, and I put the name in Chinese, Kung Fu Chuanfa. And the IKA, and the KAA, the Kajukenbo Association of America, which was led by 5 other people, not the 5 original
Right.
founders, adopted my school emblem to become the international emblem for Kajukenbo worldwide.
Wow. Well, that says a lot about you, sir. Congratulations.
So
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, so
How did you feel about that?
Yeah, everybody sees them, and you know, I tell
Yeah.
you, it was trademarked and copyrighted, but I don't get a penny out of it. I mean, because it's like the
Now we
emblem
know
is
how he
so
feels
wide-
about it.
It's the emblem is so widely used
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
know you can't. It's just like the word Kendo.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can claim it anymore, or even the word karate or taekwondo
yeah,
because
no,
it's
that's
already public domain. Yeah?
Right.
So that emblem just went out, you know, see, and anyway, needless to say that at that particular time, while it was called the Kajukenbo Chunfa, I was having problems with some of the other grandmasters. Well, nobody was called grandmasters at that time.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. Didn't
Right.
exist.
We were just chief instructors or
Right.
CFUs at that particular time, and it was not until maybe 1967 that I think that this is when we started to have the presentation of the degrees coming in.
Right.
You know, you're going to be 50 degree and you're going to be 60 degree and so forth that way. I was nothing, okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all of a sudden it says, okay, we got to make the documents from here. You are 50 degree. See, I had 50 degrees. So all 5 of us, we had Charles Gaylord, Tony Ramos, Halbuna, Alicia Reyes, and myself.
Right.
All 50 degrees now. All right, now listen to this. This is the problem, right? These guys are my friends, but I was a junior. They complained to Emperado, you know? So Emperado put me back to 4th degree.
What jackasses, those bastards.
and it says, wait 1 year, then we bring you up to 5th degree. Because they have to be first.
Yeah.
So I
Right,
said,
right.
hey, that's okay, because they came to California first before I did.
Right, right.
I didn't come until about
And
2
who
years
is this
later.
young bastard? No, fuck him.
Yeah.
Make him 4th degree. I
Damn
love it.
upstart.
Yeah, god damn it.
No, listen, and
That's awesome.
now the reason why One Hop Kyondo came into play was a couple of things. You know? One is just that I was also fighting a lot,
Right.
and my reputation started getting good. And I was really good friends with Joe Louis.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Wow.
And Joe Louis introduced me to his 25 fighting technical principles.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
His principles of fighting were totally great, but I adopted it to become mine because I was using it for what I was doing.
Right.
And the technical fighting principles is awesome, and this is what made the difference. And this is why I have so many champions, because I was teaching the technical fighting principles, not concepts. Everybody has concepts,
Right.
but when you have principles, there's totally different things. Okay.
Wow.
So, and a lot of champions that have studied Joe Louis' principles was good, but it wasn't fitting for me. I had to fit it for me.
Right.
Joe Louis was a heavyweight, I was
Yeah.
a lightweight. Okay, so I have to adjust that according to my structure. So now you have Chuan Fa now that had the original Kajukenbo techniques plus the Chinese forms, right? That was a Chuan Fa, but how would you accept the technical fighting principles? I had to break away and
Right.
form One Hop Kyondo because we were practicing that. And the reason why I had to do that was because the other 4 people, which was my seniors, yeah, they were a little bit bigger and heavier than me. They couldn't jump up in the air, they couldn't sweep, they couldn't do this. And they said, you know what, we're just going to stay to the Kempo Karate or the Chuan Fa because we're not going to jump and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I said, okay.
So they let you do what you needed to
Yeah,
do.
right. And
Well,
then-
that's good.
That's awesome.
well, they didn't have no choice because when I told Emperado that I says, you know, I want to be progressive and everything, and he says, well, I want you to be progressive because Kajukenbo need to progress.
Right.
They need to go forward. You need to have innovation. You need to have innovation and
Evolution.
renovation.
Yeah.
You have to do
Oh,
that.
And the
Renovation.
evolution needed
Right.
to happen.
And my mind was young. You know, I wasn't like these guys over here that was settled. They were already settled in one way of doing things.
Right.
And
for
it's
them
hard to break away, yeah.
And for them to do things, you know, traditional Kajukenbo is when you practice it, up, step back, right? I don't do that. Up, boom, I strike. So they said, whoa, how come you're not posing? I said, that's not going to happen on the street. You know, it's never going to happen on the street.
So you really were an innovator in the arts, taking the traditional kaiju stuff and saying, okay, in all practicality, what is this combatively looking like? And it can't be a structured thing.
no.
You're
The
just
principles.
gonna- yeah.
The principles we just
Well, I have a way of teaching. It's called a 3-5-5.
Okay.
Okay, 3-5-5 is easy to learn once you understand the concept. This is why it's like the Costco's technical system, innovated into one hot can go. Yeah?
Right.
So when you say 3-5-5, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was a movie.
area code, right?
the 3 numbers. Yeah.
Everything is 3. I love you. I hate you.
Yeah.
I kill you. Right? It's all 3 words. It's easier for a person to remember 3 techniques, 3 targets, without getting into all the fancy things.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
You
No,
follow
I
me?
get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if I teach a bam, poke into the, I boom into the elbow, kick. 3 things. I said that's all, because everything afterwards is going to be combinations,
Yeah.
and combinations is future thinking. And if you think future thinking, and the guy's thinking here now, you're going to get killed.
Right.
Okay.
I like that future thinking.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, combinations are future thinking.
Yeah. Of
Because
course.
you hit, oh, it don't work, you go to the other, right?
And you go to
But
the
if you
other.
only think about here and now, which is based on explosion, and there's, you got, and reaction, because you got eye reaction, timing reaction, 5 different types of reaction and speeds.
Right.
If you understand that in there, then you understand the principle. People don't know that. How do you get fast? They say,
Dude, oh my
one
God.
instructor would say, you go to the wall, you punch 1,000 times. No, you got to understand the position of relaxation versus tension. How you go from relaxation to tension.
Right.
That's principles.
Yes.
Okay? So, and, well, anyway, we can get into that. It's
Dude, I love this stuff. Are you
totally.
kidding?
Yeah, we'll start with the toes and we'll work our way up.
It's totally heavy. So now we have the 3-1-1. The first 3 targets, the first 3 weapons you're going to use.
Okay.
It's easier to teach someone that. Okay? Basic streak. I swim, you get the bam, 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 bam. Okay, 3, that's good. What about 4 and 5? Oh, that's actual, because that's future thinking.
Yeah. Those are the follow-ups.
Uh-huh.
You see what I mean? So, but if you're going to, you get really good on your first strike, whether it's going to be upward strike or downward strike, I mean, that's your primary weapon. So you have to understand there are
Let
first
that be.
3 primary weapons, and then you put the 2 inside, then it becomes the secondary weapons, and now you have your Cincotero.
Cincotero, of
Cincotero,
course.
yeah.
All right?
Love it.
Okay, so you have that 3-5. Okay, I mean, so we're talking
Oh,
about that,
that makes sense.
Yeah, 3-5.
and
Yeah,
you
3-5.
you see what I mean? Because then it's easier to teach.
Yeah.
So that's why I say 3-5-5.
I'm gonna watch this piece of this video.
Right.
Oh, we're gonna analyze this like for
A lot of it I
a
talk
while.
about it in the book.
Oh, we're
Good.
gonna.
We're gonna read that book a lot.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna read the book.
So you have the 3 things, right? And now when you talk about 5, well, we're going to the 5 ways of learning. It's really important. Anything that you learn in life, the very first thing is primitive.
Okay.
Right.
It's primitive. You don't know crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it becomes mechanical. Then it becomes technical. Then it becomes creativity, because you're creating, and then it becomes fluid. The process of learning.
Huh.
All right. So in other words, you don't know crap about Eskrimo. That's primitive. You don't know. I said, okay, give you the stick. I said, we're going to do this right here. And what is that? Mechanics. Okay. But why are you doing it? Technical now. Why? How? When? That's the technical. You know all that.
Yeah.
Now I said, okay, now I want you to just be creative. That's fantastic, right? I said, then now get away from that. Now you're going fluid. I throw the ball at you, you hit. Right? Being creative, right? So when you become to this in here, the first 1, 2, 3 is a learning process. The next 4 and 5, creativity and fluidity, is you. Because creativity is the expression of yourself.
Yeah, of course.
I like
So-
it.
so-
I like it.
And I love that because I teach, and he's my actual top student. And we have a thing what we call 5 levels of understanding, and it sounds very similar to what you're talking about. Gross motion, primitive.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
movement.
Details, technical. Mechanical.
Yeah.
Variations is where we go into the right into fluids, and then can you teach it? Because what good is it
That's
if you can't even
creative.
teach it?
Yeah, do you understand it
Creative,
enough?
right? And then number 5 is your own version of it, your own idea of
Expression,
how you
right.
express it.
Right. You said
So I love. This is the first time I've ever heard anybody who does a traditional style like kaiju or anything like that actually voices this. Because everybody else knows everything is
The
you have to
mental
do
aspect.
You know, it all has to be. You know, you have to follow
And-
the curriculum, and that you can't
That's
get
what
away
they call
from
static.
And I'm
Static.
playing devil's
Eventually,
advocate
it
here.
becomes kinetic,
Yeah.
which is totally moved, right? Now, the next 5,
Oh, that's right. 3,
Three,
5,
five,
5.
five.
okay, it's just that first thing you got to be aware, right? You got to be first, you got to be fast, you got to hit hard, and you don't stop.
Wow, I love it.
Okay, so awareness comes from a lot of things because that's a